1971, 5 years after Walt Disney died, Disney World in Florida was opened. Disney World in Florida was opened. Someone walked up to Mike Vance, the creative director, and said, "It's too bad Walt Disney didn't live to see this." Mike Vance replied, "He did see it. That's why it's here." There's many of you here today, but some people are not here because they didn't live to see this. Or maybe we're here today because they did live to see this. They saw it before it happened, and they actually lived so it could happen. Let's be people of vision in the same way that Helen Keller was, who said the worst thing, worse than being blind, would be to be able to see, yet have no vision. Let's make sure we have vision as we move forward. So flag, if we had to do it all over again, what would we do all over again? Too often we look back and think, I'd change that, I'd change that, I'd change that. What wouldn't we change? Why do we have what we have? Are we still going to be a bet the farm, buy the land kind of people that our pioneers and founders were? Or will we succumb to a hide it under a bushel and bury it into the ground until the master comes back? Now, I'm assuming if you're here today, you care about this church. You understand a little bit of its past, and we're talking about the past, but we're talking about the past, how it will impact our future. So let me say something that I'm sure you can say with me. We exist to build vertical and horizontal relationships. We do. That is the Great Commission. As a matter of fact, because this room is so full, let's read it out loud. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Jesus crucified, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Let's get people connected to God. Let's get them connected to each other, or they won't stay connected to God. Great commandment. Great commission. Let's read this out loud together as well. You ready? Here we go. Therefore, great commandment, love one another, love God. Great commission, let's go do that everywhere we go. The great context, everyone we come in contact with is headed for eternity. So let's make sure we can do all that we can to make sure they're headed in the right direction for eternity. Now I mentioned to you this is going to be a not necessarily call and response, but a participatory message. So during the next few moments, I'm going to ask you to stand depending on what years you attended Flag Church. Now, some of you know how we do this, but we got to tweak it for today. We got to tweak it a little bit for today. So figure out what years you attended Flag Church. We're going to do some cluster reunions. The first one is this. If you attended, and we'll go backwards. If you attended in 2018, 17, or 16, please stand and stay standing. 2018, 17, or 16. Stay standing. Here's what we know about you. One, we know your social security number. We don't know. Here's what we know about you. 53% of you have come in the last 3 years. That's what you told us on the survey in February. So glad you're here. Amazing what God has done. If you attended in 2015, 14, or 13, please remain standing. 2015, 14, or 13. And there's those 53%. Boom, 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 boom. If you're speaking now, you attended in 2015, 14, or 13. We know from what you've said that 43% of you consider yourself unchurched before you showed up. Meaning you hadn't been active in a church setting for the previous 5 years. We're so glad you're here. You're why we do what we do. Absolutely. If you attended in 2012, 11, or 10, please stand and remain standing. 2012, 11, or 10. Our past propels us. And our past propels us past contentment. Because it would have been really easy for those of you standing for us just to become content as a church. We could have done that. Instead, we started a capital campaign. And we sacrificed for 3 years. You did. And you got sick of me telling you for 3 years, hey, we're not sacrificing for ourselves. It's for those who aren't here yet. Hey, this isn't for you. Hey, this isn't for me. Hey, this isn't so we can go back to 2 services. No, we're not doing it so we get more comfort or more space. We're doing it for those who aren't here yet. Would you look around you? They're here. They're here yet. And if you're seated, we'll be challenging you to sacrifice for those that aren't here yet as well, the same way that those that are standing are now. Because if they wanted to, they could have jetted as soon as we said, 3 years giving above your tithe. And they could have said, what? Bad frequency? I'm gone, Pastor. Instead, they stayed. And they committed, and they sacrificed. They refused to be paralyzed by fear, and instead of practice their faith, and we made that commitment of $300,000, but instead they actually gave $310,000. Amazing what God has done there. Absolutely amazing. If you attended in 2009, 8 or 7, please remain standing. Or please stand. 2009, 8 or 7. Our past propels us past comparisons as well. It was during that time that we went to 3 services. I know the picture says 2011, but we made the decision in 2007. We weren't satisfied with just comparing ourselves to other churches. We weren't satisfied with having just more than some other church. We were willing to do what no one else is doing. And at the time, we didn't know another church doing 3 services, not in the area at all. We were willing to do what no one else was doing so we could possibly reach people that maybe no one else was reaching. If you attended in 2006, 5, or 4, please stand. 2006, 5, or 4, please stand. Our past propelled us past being complacent. We could have got complacent. $1.76, that'd be awesome. We could have got complacent, but we didn't stop moving forward. See, in 2004, we got into a building. We got a building. We can coast. We can coast. We don't have to do anything else. It's mostly full. We're not running backwards financially. We can coast. We didn't coast. We didn't just see opportunity. We seized opportunity. We were having a full house and decided, we need to do something about it. And so we went to 2 services, and we had a pastor. We could do nothing during that time, or we could do something. We took the opportunity of a lifetime during the lifetime of the opportunity. And most everyone that's standing right now had never been part of a church with more than 1 paid pastor. And most everyone that's standing right now at that time had never been part of a church in multiple services. But we've never done that before, quote unquote. We've never done that before, has never stopped us before. We've never done that before, has never stopped us before, and didn't stop the people that are standing right now. If you attended Flag in 03 or 02, please stand or remain standing. 2003 or 2002, please stand or remain standing. Our past propelled us past complications and struggles as well. Because that was a challenging time. Still meeting in a rented facility, but still trying to build. And these poor people had me as their pastor as we were building a building physically. These were the people that know that they had me turn my tool belt around because I had them backwards, and they told me to turn it around again. Steve Hardesty, I will forgive you for that. Here's what you may not know. It's not hard to count the number of people in that photo. That's Rita, Steve, me, Randy, and Kevin. What you may not know is how many were attending Flag at the time. The previous 5 months attendance was 60, 44 adults. 44 adults, and we broke ground. We launched anyways. Is that faith or is that foolishness? I get you to find out how you want. All I know is we were willing to do whatever it took to reach people. And then we did something very few churches have ever had the privilege of doing, humbled to have a moving day and then a dedication day. If you attended Flag in 01 or 2000, please stand or remain standing. 2001 or 2000, there's probably not going to be much change in people there. For many of you, this is the first time you ever had a pastor younger than you, except you, Kevin. I'm older than you. But you didn't have a pastor younger than you before. But you loved us. Sarah and I said, you loved us anyways, and you brought us in and you let us serve you. And you let us try ideas that worked and some other ideas that didn't work. But we kept trying. And you know what we had during that time? We had innovation. You know what that picture is? When you look at the word innovation in a dictionary, that's the picture next to innovation. That was our first ever outreach. Now, do you know the definition of innovation? Increasing passion with limited resources. Oh yeah. You can't have innovation if you have an unlimited budget. That's not innovation. That's just spending money like crazy. Increasing passion, and we had that. And limited resources, we definitely had that. Randy Burker, do believe your bicep is still that big in that photos. And I think you still wear that shirt. I've seen you wear that shirt before. At this time, the people that are standing, Flag Church, what did we own? Nothing but vision. Nothing but vision. Let's continue to be part of a church that owns vision. Can I get an amen in the house? Yeah. If you attended in 97, 96, 95, 94, and 93, please stand and remain standing. That's you, Max and Patty. 97, 96, 95, 94, and 93. Please stand and remain standing. What kind of courage did that take? Oh, excuse me, I skipped one. Back up. You'll sit down. 97, 99, 98. My bad. 99, 98. I apologize. 99, 98. You bought the land. What kind of courage does that take to step out and do that? Who told you that was a good idea? You did it anyway. You're surrounded by fruit from that. And that's the actual contracts right there. You can't read that, but it says 19,000 and something. How much did they have? They didn't have that. It took massive amount of courage to start that. And they did it out of 32 people. Those are the actual attendance numbers before. And those 32, some of those were probably kids. They did it anyway. They bet the farm to buy the land. Flag Church, if we tried doing that today at the same per capita, we would have to raise $500,000 in the next 6 months. That's the kind of sacrifice those that are standing did when they bought this land that we sit on every Sunday except today. So they took down a house that was on the land. They put up a sign. And again, the church owned nothing but vision. But they didn't wait for more resources. They didn't wait for better conditions. They just did it. They just did it. Sir, you can make anything you want to say, man. You started this thing. But say it loud, man.
I remember when we were tearing down the old house and had the asbestos siding on it, there was a legend around this part of the country that there had been a train robbery back years and years ago. And someone had made off with this huge amount of silver and buried it somewhere in Crawford County. You wouldn't believe the nights that I thought, maybe in tearing that house down, I'll find that huge treasure. I honestly thought that God was going to miraculously give us that hidden treasure.
Come on.
But I have the reality by the Word of God that the Apostle Paul said, we have this hidden treasure in these vessels. And we're seeing the treasure here this morning.
Amen. That's good word. Good word. All right. If you attended 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, please stand and remain standing. If the mic's good to you, Aubrey, it's good for me. It seems hot. You started with nothing. Actually, you started with less than nothing, but we'll talk about that in a sec. What kind of courage did it take to start that? Why didn't you just go to another church that was already had things happening? Why didn't you just go somewhere else that was already moving forward? You could have slipped in, especially since you were wounded and trying to start brand new, but you didn't. And we thank you for that. We're privileged because of that. Without courage, all we have are good ideas and regrets. Let me say that again. Without courage, all we have are good ideas and regrets. They had courage. That's why we're not sitting on just good ideas and regrets, but we're sitting on a past we can build on. Can we honor these people right now that are standing? Yeah. Amen. 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 Jesus said this about our past and our future. He said it in multiple ways. You can't follow me into the future if you're going to hold on to your past. You can't follow me into your future if you're going to hold on to your past. He said it where he said, hey, if you're going to follow me, leave your mother, father, sister, brother. He said, hey, if you're going to follow me, let the dead bury their own dead. And he said this for a scripture to focus on today. Pardon me. There we go. Jesus replied, no one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God. If we choose to stay behind, the future will go on without us. If we refuse to stay behind, we get to create the future. The question is, will we be a people that remember the good old days, or will we be people that create the great new days? The good old days were founded in our church by people who were not satisfied with the good old days, but wanted to create great new days. I heard Steve say again and again, we don't know what we want to be, but we want to be something different. We don't want to be status quo. And we keep going forward on that. So what we do with our past determines whether our greatest days, Flag, are ahead of us, or if our greatest days are behind us and we're celebrating them and that's all we got left. Depends what we do with our past. If we live in our past, we die to our future. But if we launch from our past, we get to create the future. Full launch from it. Full launch from it. Flag's pioneers, if you want to talk the 1993 pioneers that started the foundation of the church, or if you want to talk the 2003 pioneers that laid a concrete foundation, they built a great foundation. But the foundation is not to build a statue on, but to launch an offensive strike from. Flag, we play offense, not defense. Jesus said, I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. Jesus plays offense, not defense. Jesus did not say, hey guys, hold on to what you got. Just hold back the enemy until I come. No, he didn't say that. I will build is active, not passive. We play offense, not defense. And every step, every leap of faith, everything that looks foolish, started crafting our culture and our DNA that we're going to be vision-driven. It's about the Great Commission, the Great Commandment, the great context that people are eternal. It's about having fearless faith in spite of fear, in spite of worry, in spite of concerns, in spite of criticism. It's about being others-focused for those who are not here yet, and those who haven't heard yet. But it's the one that stands out to me. Every step we took, we expected it to cost us something. There wasn't one step that we took that said, oh, this is going to make it easier for us. Not one. Not one. So, if we had to do it all over again, what would we do all over again? Because we have no idea what hangs in the balance. If 32 people have courage, not those 32 exactly, but that gives you an idea what 32 people did when they bought the land in 98. We have no idea what hangs in the balance if we decide to act courageously. So Flag, it's time to continue to be what we are, and it's time to continue to once again act courageously. So after a lot of prayer, research, and counting the cost, today we announced the launch of a satellite campus of Flag Church in Fort Scott, Kansas. It's time. It's time. Why is it time? Well, Fort Scott is ripe for harvest. It is ripe for harvest. It's underserved by healthy churches, based on the research we've done, based on people that we've talked to, people that we know that go there. And it's definitely underserved by healthy Pentecostal churches. And that's from the Pentecostals that live in town telling us that. There's a ton of de-churched and unchurched people there, but I want to specify to you why we feel like it's definitely for us. That's a basic map. In case you can't read it real well, this is Pittsburgh right here. That's Fort Scott. You got Parsons over there, and Nevada over there. And what I'm going to show you are our visitor flow. That's the visitors from 2013 to Flag Church. That means every pin, every marker there means they didn't just show up. We got them to fill out a connection card and they put it in the offering. And each pin doesn't represent a person. It represents a family unit, so maybe 2.5, 3 people, a dog, and a white picket fence right around there. That's 2013. Please notice Fort Scott. Again, if you can't see it, Fort Scott's up there. 2014. Those are our visitors. 2015. 2016. Those are the ones that actually fill a card out. 2017. Thought I hit it. There we go, 2017. And then 2018. Whoa. Slow down, Nathan. Nathan's back there helping me. That's our visitor flow. That's crazy. Let me just show you Fort Scott. If each one of those is 2.5, 3 people, that's a really good sized church right there. Now, those are just visitors. They haven't all come back. Because I don't blame them. It's a 70-minute round trip. But the people that have continued to come are some quality people. Crazy thing is that you look to see what was happening off to the side there in Nevada. Now, I grew up half a mile from Lake Erie, but I hate fishing. I'm no good at it. It's boring unless there's really good food. But even I'm enough fisherman to know that if I'm fishing over here and those fish over there jumping in my boat, I might want to go ahead and cast some bait over there. It's time to cast some bait over there. It's time to take a risk on that. The other reason timing is good is Christ's love compels us. Whatever it takes short of sin to reach people. To reach people no one else is reaching, let's do what maybe no one else is doing. And let's give it a shot. And this church was willing to give money to go ahead and put a church down in Denane, Ivory Coast. And to see them go from nothing to moving forward. And we can give to go ahead and build the church of Fort Scott as well. We will build in the present what we believe for in the future. That's what I want to say, almost said ancestors, predecessors did. You guys are not our ancestors, you're our predecessors. Question for you. If I were to ask you what your flag story is, what would it be? What God did in you through this local church? Because surely God's done other things in your life, not just your flag. But what would your flag story be? What has God done in you through this local church? And maybe it's what He's done through you as well, not just in you. How many more stories like that are available to the 9,000 people in Fort Scott and that surrounding area that are not connected, that are so disconnected from the local church? The next thing I want to show you, I expect no one to remember, but it's from a message I preached in 2001, where we did a homecoming, and we invited everybody back. Talking about multiplication. Oh, I'm ahead of myself. Multiplication meets addition. Let's go there first. The New Testament church spread with joy. Flag, we have something worth multiplying. That's an insane blessing. Insane. Every year for 18 years. And you've heard me say it before, you probably say it with me. Every number's got a name. Every name's got a story. Every story matters to God. And some of those stories have been coming the last 2 years, some of them have been coming for 20 years. We're not the only way to be an effective church in Southeast Kansas. We're just a way. But we're a way that's worth multiplying. So let me take you back to something in my notes from 2001. I put this up on the screen here. There we go. This is literally just a screenshot from Microsoft Word from something I preached in 2001. We had a homecoming back, and Patty actually came back for that. And that was the first day that we said, hey, we're going to break some ground and build a building on that property. It's also the first day I ever said build vertical and horizontal relationships. But here's what it is. It's the life cycle of a church. You have vision, you're born, woohoo! Hey, childhood, now we have relationships, that's going on, good. Now we're in adolescence, we got some programs going on, we got missionaries, we got rainbows, we got World Rangers, we're moving forward. And then we got some adulthood, we got some management, things are getting going, we're moving forward. And then you get to right about here. And then you lose vision. You lose the relationships. And all you got left is the management. Some of you have attended churches that run the down slope before. That life cycle of almost any organization, but specifically of a local church. Flag, we've seen that life cycle go. And I will tell you, that because I sleep, eat, drink this, the current reality right now is we're not growing much. We're not. The number still says that we've increased, but we're also including our online attendance in that this year. We've never done that before. All things being equal, we're probably going to be stagnant this year in growth. Doesn't feel like it to you. I get that. New people in, but people move out, people move on. It's time for us to jump that, and that's how you jump the life cycle. You don't go downhill as you get new vision and you make that jump. So let me ask you, every 2 or 3 years we've taken a vision-focused step of faith. Whether it was buying land, adding a service, but we took a vision step of faith. As we look back, it's been since 2010 that we've taken a vision-focused step of faith. It's been too long. And our cycle is actually starting to go down. Not just attendance, I don't worry about that number, but the energy level is starting to dip down. It's time to launch that new vision, and this is the right time for it. What if we hadn't bought land back in the day? Well, that doesn't make sense. Of course you're going to buy land. What if we hadn't built the first building? Well, of course we'll build the first building. What if we never went to 2 services? Bruce and Shirley Leishman, where are you? I remember your first Sunday. If you had come that Sunday and it was so jammed out and you couldn't find a seat, you said, that's cool, but I don't want to go back. It was too crowded. Bob and Sandy Boys, I remember your first Sunday. It wasn't that, there was space that we had to run the 2 services. And if we hadn't run the 2 services of 3, Bruce will show your kids never would have came. No, I don't want to go there. It's like sitting on Mother's Day every Sunday. We had to make those steps and move forward on that. Vision drifts, vision leaks, vision needs realignment. This helps us get vision moving forward. Lastly, nothing we have is for us. Never has been. Nothing we have as a church is for us. It's for those who are not here yet. And what I'm talking about is the stewardship of the resources that we have. Being effective with what we have. If we're not careful as a church, God can hold us guilty of being a hoarder because we have so much. And if we're not careful, we keep it to ourselves. We're basically a church of 500. It's a few more than that, but we'll call it a church of 500. Do you realize how many people we have in this church that are capable of standing on a platform with their instrument and leading a church between 30 and 300 effectively in worship? It's ridiculous. We have 4 and only one of them is on paid staff. That's ridiculous for a church of our size. Most churches of 200 would be glad to have 1. We have 4. And we have 2 more that if you give them an instrumentalist, they could lead a church in worship between 30 and 300 people, no problem. And right now they're sitting on the sidelines. They're involved, but they're not near as involved as they could be. And we're not training them as much as we could be, but we open another campus, they have more option to do that. So what exactly does it look like to go ahead and do this? So let me get a quick show of hands. How many have ever watched our service online? Okay. Let me make sure you know what the campus would look like in Fort Scott. It's not everyone just watching the screen, watching our service online. Because that would be horrible. Who'd want to do that? But it is a live service in Fort Scott. Live worship team. Full kids ministry. Nursery. Hospitality team. Cappuccino. We have one block for cappuccino. Awesome. And you guys are hanging with me good today because we don't have the cappuccino today. When it comes time for the teaching, that will be the video message from Flag Church Pittsburgh that morning. Or if we ever have to move to a Saturday night service to make that work. It's not watching our live stream service. 6 to 8 times a year, the campus pastor there would speak. So here's some other ways that it works out. We'd have to hire a full-time campus pastor. That campus pastor would be on staff with Flag Church. They'd be living in Fort Scott. They'd be building and leading ministry teams at Flag Church Fort Scott. They'd be crafting the culture and creating community relationships between Flag Church and Fort Scott. We have to hire a full-time pastor. Can I tell you, we've already had 2 great phone interviews with 2 different candidates, and both of them would be amazing. Both of them would be amazing. So we're working forward on that. We have to scout and prepare a facility. We got to find a place to meet. Hopefully it doesn't have to be a sit up and tear down every Sunday, but not sure what that's going to look like. We had one board member make a phone call to a business friend up there, and the doors started opening so fast it was almost crazy. We'll wait and see what God does. We need to recruit a launch team. Yeah, I knew it'd get quiet right there. But that's all right. If you're called to stay at Flag Church Pittsburgh and to build and serve and fund the kingdom from Flag Church Pittsburgh, follow God's calling on your life. If you sense God calling you to serve, build, and fund the kingdom of God at Flag Church Fort Scott, follow God's calling on your life. Follow it. And see what He's going to do. I don't know what He's going to do, but I'm convinced some of you He's going to nudge and say, I want to go plant that. I want to go help that. I want to see that move forward. I know some people, if I had a sign-up sheet out there right now, I believe I can name them. They'd be running out there right now to be first on the list because they told me, if we ever do something, we're going to be first on the list. Next thing we need to do is we need to raise the necessary resources. Our vision exceeds our resources financially. It always will. If our financial resources ever exceed our vision, we're going down fast. Our vision will always exceed our resources. And so we'll be launching a 1-year giving campaign throughout the entire church. It'll go from Christmas to Christmas. It'll launch this year at our Christmas offering. We'll be challenging the congregation to make what's called faith promises. This is exactly what we did back in 2010, 11, and 12. A faith promise is a weekly or a monthly amount to give above your tithe for the purpose of launching Flag Church Fort Scott. In that time, we'll go from Christmas 2018 to Christmas 2019 on that. And those faith promises are anonymous in case anyone's worried that we're going to go ahead and have your name on something that says Moose and Rocco your way when you're not paying up. Nope. Faith promise, it's anonymous. It'll be interesting to see what God does. I believe God's got plenty of resources in this church, and He's going to blow our minds what He's going to do. So 3 groups of people. If you've been coming since 2012, this is your opportunity to create a kingdom legacy that people down the road can honor and celebrate what you've done and receive the fruit in the same way that we've done that for those who gave before us. If you've moved on and you no longer attend here, please stay at the church you're attending. Please keep going there. Unless you're just saying you're going there and you're not really going there. And if so, start going there or welcome home. We'd love to have you back. If you've moved away, chances are when you attended here, maybe you were saving up $5 for the weekend for ramen noodles, and you're just trying to make it through the weekend, and now you're in a different spot financially. We would encourage you to invest back into that which invested in you. So let me walk you through a quick timeline. Oh, that was supposed to build. I guess we get it all at once. October and November, we announced like we're doing today, we hold listening tour meetings. I'll explain those in a moment. December and January, we have to kick off the giving campaign. Hopefully we have a campus pastor hired by then. In February, March, and April, we recruit that launch team and we scout facilities. May, June, and July, that summer, we find that facility, we remodel what we need to. We have some outreaches going on. We attend their good old days. We hand out bottles of water. We hold some public interest meetings, and we start some private services with that launch team. And in August and September, we promote and advertise. And on Sunday, September 8th, we have the public launch of Flag Church Fort Scott. And then we can get, amen, amen. The giving campaign continues, and it ends with our Christmas offering in 2019. So the next few weeks, if you continue to attend Flag Church, we'll share some more and we'll prep ourselves for that giving campaign, and we'll hold listening tours. A listening tour where pastoral staff and maybe some other key leaders will come to certain houses that are willing to host. 20 or 30 people be in the house. We'll give 20 minutes of information, take some Q&A, have some munchies, and make sure everyone has all the questions answered. And let me tell you some of these listening to it. I hope we have 20 people that will host, and 20 different hosts. Your life group can host one. Or your life group can open up and let anybody else come that wants to come and have questions and answers. We need good questions, because you're going to see some perspective that maybe we've missed. We're trying to cross our T's and dot our I's and all that, but we could use some more insight on that. So will there be some people that will maybe say, oh, I'm not sure this is going to work? Sure. That hasn't changed since 1993, has it? Here's what you don't know. And I won't go into all the detail for their sake, but what you don't know about the core that started this church is their past propelled them, but their past wasn't good. It was painful. And they had critics. And their critics were so harsh, they put it in authoritative writing and handed it to them. But they did not let that repel them from the kingdom. Instead, they used it to propel and build the kingdom. They did not cave to critics, but followed the call of Christ. A quote I think of when I think about what they did: it's better to create something that others criticize than to create nothing and criticize others. And while others were criticizing them, they created something. And we're benefited from it. It's been too long since we stepped out in faith. It's been too long since we've asked people to give sacrificially. And the idea that we've never done it before has never stopped us before. My name is Mark Lehman. I get to be your pastor. I'm 50 years old. I do not want to be 62 and pastoring the same 500 people in Pittsburgh, Kansas. Let's keep moving forward. To whom much has been given, much is required. We've been given much, much is required of us, and it's time to continue to go ahead and move forward. So, if we had to do it all over again, what would we do? All over again. Why do we have what we have? I'm convinced there's more courage in us than danger that's ahead of us. So let's not be people that hide it under a bushel. Let's not be people that go ahead and bury it in the ground. Let's be people like our founders were. Let's be willing to bet the farm and buy the land. Can you say amen? Stand with me if you would, please. Amen.